my first question is it Dr. Pritha or Dr. Sakshi?
No, that's my daughter's name. I am Dr. Preeta. My system has I have very old system which video does not work, the audio doesn't pick up, so I'm using my daughter's system.
Right. That's all right. So Dr. Pritha. So first of all, I really wanted to express my sincere appreciation for your insightful book on plot versus narrative. I myself is a non-fiction writer, and I understand the entire context was from a very fictional point of view, but your clarification example, I think, have greatly enhanced my understanding of storytelling. I think I'm truly grateful for the knowledge you have shared. So thank you very much for your invaluable contribution to the field. My question is, looking to the future, what exciting developments do you anticipate in the field of plot and narratives? Are there any emerging trends or technologies that you believe will significantly influence the way stories are constructed and consumed? So when I say technologies, I mean, as artificial intelligence and machine learning continue to advance, right? We are seeing an emergence of AI generated narratives, ChatGPT, right? Almost everyone is using it now. So how do you envision the role of plot and narrative in this AI generated stories? And what implications does this have for human creativity and storytelling? So that's my question.
Okay, so the AI part, I'm not very sure, but I will try to approach this a little differently. Okay, I think today we have an area in humanities called digital humanities, where we are saying, now let me start with your first part of your question. We're talking about non-fiction and fiction, right? Now, sure, so within literary studies itself, there is a huge debate about what is fiction and what is non-fiction, right? In fact, I very consciously avoided using the word factual, right? So when you talk about narrative, we now say that everything is a narrative. For example, this meeting is a narrative. Okay, so everything is a narrative where we are all going to share different plots, maybe different stories, right? So when you say everything is a narrative, you're also saying that nothing is absolutely the truth. So there are different versions of the same story, that would be the first part where you're talking about non-fiction. Even this non-fiction, how factual is it? Right? Let's say, a government document versus a newspaper article about a government. So who is talking? Whose narrative is factual, and how far is something fictional? So we are in a very, what we call the postmodern period, where the lines between what is fact and what is fiction is constantly blurring. Right? So what could be factual for one narrator is probably fictional for the other person. Right? Now, this blurring becomes even more in the digitized world, because now it's available for everyone, right? If I want a book, for example, in the past, I have to go buy it from a bookstore. Now, free PDFs are available. There is a graphic book which I've been trying to buy, and it's very expensive, the hardcover. So I was trying to convince myself, this time I will read it on Kindle. I don't like reading on Kindle. But the hardcover is very expensive. And guess what happened? My student found a free PDF.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think technology is in one way bringing us all closer. Okay. Now, in terms of what narrative technology throws up, right? It is fluid, it is available, right? But it's making it even more obvious that it is accessible to everyone. B, making it even more obvious that the lines between fact and fiction is blurring, right? And so anybody is a narrator today. We've had students who have worked on blogs, for example, as part of their research. So normally you would say that blog is not something elite, in an very elitist perspective, would not say it is high literature for somebody to work on, but we are saying that is also a narrative. So let's consider that as well. Right. For example, I teach a paper called Popular Narratives, and one of the texts I teach is Michael Jackson. I teach Michael Jackson songs. So where do we say what is literature and what is, so that's another narrative. I mean, when you can have,
right.
who is that guy who's the pop singer who won the Nobel Prize for Literature? So there is really no, so technology is bringing us closer. Technology, I think, is also very dangerous because everything is available to us. But as an academician, I would say it is endangering some of our jobs, but I think that's where the human mind should work better than technology. Plagiarism checks are now outdated, right? I don't know whether I answered your question, but what I understood.
Yeah, I'm sure. You're bringing Michael Jackson to the same genre that we are talking about here, and also you can bring AI to the same genre, because you cannot distinguish between what a ChatGPT is writing and what a human is writing.
Correct.
So there are no distinctions available right now, and you can imagine what the future holds.
Yes.
So yeah.
So one point that comes to my mind based on Arnab's question is, in non-fiction in the real world, for example, BJP and Amit Shah are driving the narrative, right? Or Rahul Gandhi drives the narrative in a certain direction, which means they kind of see, reality is too complex, actually, so many things. So what are they saying when they are setting the narrative? Means putting a few items on the agenda to be discussed more and more widely. So they set the narrative in terms of the prioritization of things that have to be discussed more. So in a reality context, non-fiction context, I think narrative is not who is narrating, not the telling part, but what is having the higher priority, or right, what is having more importance. In fiction, based on what Preetha told us today, the show and tell is the narrative, also the plot, right? And then depends upon who is telling the main theme. Is it an unreliable narrator and all that? So the narrative is more in terms of who and how. But in the non-fiction, the real world, I think setting the narrative is the what. What do we discuss for? What's the narrative for these elections, for example?
It's also about who holds the power, right? It's not. It's also about the person. It's produced by one in power.
Right.
So
Mehboob,
legitimizing of that narrative, when you produce it when you're in power, and you produce. Supposing I give my students this example of, if I were to say tomorrow is a holiday, you will believe it. But if your friends were to tell you tomorrow is a holiday, you will come and verify it with me, because I have a certain power, right? So that power kind of legitimizes
the narrative.
Yeah.
Right.
That's why you should not believe any narrative. Yeah.
That was my next point. Mehboob, would you like to appreciate ChatGPT instead of a human being, right? Would you have that feeling of appreciating a bot instead of a human being?
No,
because you're saying what matters, who doesn't matter, right? What do you think?
I think AI enabled human is what I'll appreciate. One who knows how to leverage ChatGPT. Like ChatGPT is available to you, ChatGPT is available to me. Now, who's able to use it better will get the better awards or Booker Prizes or whatever. Right. So it doesn't mean that ChatGPT is available only to me and not to you. It's available to both of us. Now, what do we do with it is what will be the future Booker winners or Pulitzer winners or what are. So yeah.
Madam, thank you very much, Dr. Preetha. Thanks for your insights.